Air cargo business in Nepal. Time to take off. Shanker Singh. All the existing problems of Nepal cannot be said to have been caused by Nepalis, as Nepal is a landlocked nation for which the nearest seaport is 1,127 kilometers away. At present, the expansion of the railway line to Sirsha in Burgunjay and the construction of an inland container depot have reduced the cost of transportation. As the transit problem is a natural problem, it has its own elements and dimensions. Any landlocked countries have agreements with other transit countries. In this context, Afghanistan has an agreement with Iran. Bhutan has a trade and transit agreement with India. Laos seems to have agreements with Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam. The geographical reality of Nepal is that not only is Nepal landlocked, but it is landlocked in such a dilapidated way that it is unlikely to depend on countries other than India for transit. Although Bangladesh has allowed the use of the Mongla port through the Fuulbara-Bangala Band route, the route has not been very profitable in terms of infrastructure and cost. For the time being, Nepal's transit route with China is not that practical for Nepal, as India is the major transit nation for Nepal in terms of distance and also for economic movement of all commercial traffic. Of course, China has also signed various transit protocols. Only time will tell how practical they will be. In the context of the problems faced by landlocked countries, it has become necessary to look for alternatives to surface transportation. Therefore, the potential for air trade and air cargo has become even wider. Recently, the cargo trade exported from Nepal by air has increased by a marginal %. The cargo complex of the airport has to be run by the efficient private sector, but this has not been done effectively in Nepal. The cargo complex in New Delhi, India, is being operated by freight forwarders. When using the international border between Nepal and the sea and the unproductive and economically unprofitable land available in Nepal, the cost of transporting goods from Nepal should be about 18 to 25% higher than Darjeeling from Nepal. This does not seem to be very fruitful due to the need for double documentation to use the transit facility via Bangladesh to solve these problems. Other proposed routes include conducting trade in Chinese territory covering a distance of about 5,500 kilometers. Although the fare is very low in this case, the preamble is far from the reality, but some progress has been made since the transit agreement. In these cases, air transport, or a combination of air and sea transport, can give Nepal a better option. A cursory review of the share occupied by air transport shows that air transport volume-wise accounts for roughly about 15 to 20% of exports and 10 to 18% of imports. This can be taken as a sign of the importance of air transport in Nepal. There is ample and substantial potential to increase this share. Today, the role of the cargo business seems to have multiplied thousands of times due to the globalization and increase in international trade adopted by the country. However, due to lack of professionalism and many other reasons, the cargo business in Nepal has not been able to flourish as expected. Although most of the goods are exported by air, the Tribhuvan International Airport, TIA, has not yet developed an international standard of infrastructure. However, efforts are underway with the technical assistance from bilateral and multilateral donors. In view of the problems faced by the cargo traders, in some cases the exporters have to be kept on the same plane and exported in the same manner, and there is a problem of spoilage and theft. It is important to have knowledge of the ways to avoid it. X-ray devices should be installed at Tribhuvan International Airport as required, cooling off period should be removed or reduced, weighing machines should be kept in suitable place, customs should be open 24 hours, charter cargo should be thought even after open sky policy. Landing, parking, and handling charges should also be taken care of. Entrepreneurs involved in the sector say that the main problem is the need for effective implementation of the multimodal transport law, which is more than any other country, and the one-stop system is not effective. Where landlocked countries are involved in trade, transit times are certainly comparatively longer. In order to reduce the time required for surface transportation, it seems to be more beneficial to export goods with higher prices and less weight by air transport. This was reflected in Nepal's past trade with the United States. However, the average price per kg should be lower than other nations in the region. In order to increase trade through air transport, the number of passenger planes in those potential areas must first be increased. That is likely to be supported by the use of containers and pallets. Although there is ample potential for tourism development in Nepal, due to the current situation in the country due to COVID and political uncertainties, Nepal has not been able to attract the required amount of tourism. However, due to the growing relationship with Nepal and the development of the tourism industry, there should be a system of renting at commodity rates. There is a strong possibility that competitive commodity fares could be effectively implemented in the context of international air transport services coming to the country. In order to remove the obligation of landlocked countries, Nepal needs to emphasize in the long-term export policy to export high-value and low-weight goods up to production level and export market level. Among the factors negatively affecting Nepal's export trade are lack of sea border access, limited exports, lack of knowledge about international trade and lack of competitiveness due to high transportation costs. In this context, Nepal should make full use of new technical products related to air cargo. The air cargo market is the focal point of development and the rapid growth of air cargo has made this clear. To boost the nation's economy, rural goods need to be promoted and cargo agents need to expand their services to remote areas of the country. As such, Kathmandu is not the only point of trade. However, today more than 300 cargo traders in the country complain that their cargo business is not in accordance with the Tourism Act. Overall, the development of air transport alone will not solve all the problems. Problems faced by developing countries, be it in the field of trade promotion, customs procedures and forwarding in transit, packaging and loss mitigation measures, establishment of multimodal transit container depots, etc., all directly or indirectly are related with air cargo business. In the recent past, the Nepal Export Council, ECON, had drawn the attention of the airlines saying that cargo fares have been made 3 times more expensive for the export of goods. The cost of air cargo in the export of goods has become expensive and this has caused problems in the business. In such a situation, the businessmen have been exporting Nepali goods even in small quantities, but the airfare has become 2 to 3 times more expensive, so there was a problem in exporting. It is to be recalled here that in order to provide significant support to the national economy through the promotion of export of exportable goods, it has been demanded to immediately cut down the air cargo fare at the previous cost.